Hey everyone, this is Dr. Smith from Dr. Frank's Finance World. And I'm creating a video for the junior or college Rocky Mountain Investment Challenge. We realize that you don't have access necessarily to the same data sets and to more professors and stuff, finance and so forth. But we're really excited about you possibly getting involved in the process. You'll come in as much better students to universities if you are interested in the finance major, and it's just kind of fun. So, all right, so getting going, you actually get to pick the company. We do not pick it for you. My recommendation would find one that is big enough so that there's actually data on them and people can understand it a little bit, but not too big. I'm actually going to use a too big one as an example here, Walmart. But if you get it too big, then everybody already knows everything about it, and you really can't add a lot of surprises or value to it. So ultimately, you must find the information, which means to me, you probably need to screen for the information or a company at least. So I've opened up a number of websites here, the first one being FinViz over here, right there. And when you're going to screen for a company up here, if you hit the screener, you can see that it goes to almost 9,500 different REITs and different investment stocks and so forth out there. So, but to screen, you have to figure out what is it that I'm looking for. And there's a lot of different ways of doing it. One big one is there's 11 sectors out there, and maybe you know something about where you want to invest. You want to be in technology, or you want to be in financials or in energy or something. For grins and giggles, with an economy that might be a little more sluggish going forward here for a bit, this is the early part of 2024, I'm going to select consumer defensive. When I do, watch what happens over in the corner over here. This went from 9,500 to 248. It got rid of many of the different companies out there. And among the consumer defensive, I might say, hey, give me the discount stores. Those are the ones that I really want to go for. So if I did, you're actually down to 9 different ones. And it's exactly the ones you would expect to hear or see, which is Dollar General and Dollar Tree. I don't know about Ollie's Bargain Outlet, but, Target and Walmart and so forth out there. Backing up one more time, I want to show you one other way to do it. So when we had 248, one of my favorite things, and it makes it easier, I think, from a presentation standpoint, is focus on companies that make money. Well, another one is you don't want them too small. When they're under $10 a share, you don't get a lot of interest in them, and information is a lot harder to find. So I would recommend you go to $10 a share or greater, which got rid of about half of the retailers out here. And then you just come over here to the fundamental analysis and find one that has a positive net profit margin. It's actually making money. And when you do this, now you're down to 124 companies, and look through where you want to be. Maybe you want farm products, or maybe you want only U.S. companies or Brazil or wherever out there. So these are different companies you can pick. And ultimately, that's how you will find a company, I believe, easiest. One of the things you can also do is, I'm going to do Walmart, so I'm going to type Walmart in here. And you see that it automatically pulls up and gives you something called a ticker symbol, which is how you will find a lot of information about this specific company. So when I click on it, you can see a lot of information shows up down here. You can get financials and other information from them down here, what analysts think and so forth. So there's a lot of information you can get quarterly and annually and so forth. But anyway, it's a great screener when you're trying to find a company out there going to FinViz. We'll also find a company website. That's another thing I can go back and check out here is when we were sitting in Walmart out here, when it pulls up the company, if there's a company website, typically it's right there. So you can click on it and you'll actually get to the Walmart homepage itself. And one of my favorite things is to click on investors. And when you click on investors, you'll actually show up with a page that looks like this. And you can start to find some basic information, like for instance, revenue in their most recent quarter, Q3 of 2024, was up 5.2%, or the comparable store sales were up 4.9%. So new growth in stores added to their overall growth. Anyway, about 20% global ads and business growth in that. 5.8 billion returned to shareholders via dividends this year and so forth. So anyway, a lot of information, and we'll come back to that too. But you can get financials and get all sorts of other things in here. Stock information and how they're doing as well through time. And so there's a ton of company information you can get that is very, very helpful when you're trying to build your case for a company like Walmart. As well, you can go to Morningstar and Yahoo Finance. If you want to click over to those, you can see Yahoo Finance over here. And I simply put Walmart into WMT, the ticker, into the main page. And it actually sent me to here. One of the more interesting ones, it's a new one out here, but you do not have to pay for it, is in Company Insights. We'll actually pull up some scores that they have internally at Yahoo about Walmart. It's not typically that strong of a financial site for pulling historical information, but it does give you some competitors out here, which is interesting, because at some point in time, you're going to want to compare Walmart to their biggest competitors. So, and Morningstar looks like this. If you go to the main Morningstar website, it'll look like this. You can put in the company once again up here, Walmart, and it'll confirm which one it is and when you want it. The interesting thing about it's a lot of key statistics and information about Walmart, including, if you come down to the bottom down here, what they think. These are important numbers, multiples. We're going to use that to use valuation, price earnings, price book, price to sales, and that kind of stuff. But down here at the very bottom, it will actually give you competitors as well. So lots of interesting information from Morningstar, a very good site that we're going to use again in a couple of minutes in the presentation. So ultimately, you need background on the company. The judges are going to want to know that you know the company. You have to know Walmart. It isn't simply going there and buying groceries, although that's a differentiator from Walmart from Target, for instance. While there are super Targets, they don't have anywhere near the groceries. And while there are super Targets that have some groceries, they don't have a Sam's Club, and they don't have anywhere the international exposure and that type of stuff. So it's very important to know your company. And the more you read about it, and the more you can tell the judges about it, the better you're going to do. They want to see how well you understand their business. How does Walmart make money? That company website can be very helpful, but there's another one called Value Line. This can be helpful to you long-term in investments and stuff out there. The way I actually pulled Value Line is I went to the Poudre Valley website for their library. And when you do that, let me see if I still have it up here. If I go to Value Line, I can go back a little bit. Maybe it'll pull it up here. Here I'm in the Poudre Libraries. I simply signed in using my barcode, which is actually my library code number, if you will. If I go back one more, let's see if it'll pull up. Okay. Here I am looking at the Poudre Valley main website and so forth up here. Let's go to the top. And I can go to different research and different journals they have. And Value Line, starting with the V, will be right here. When I pull up Value Line, you'll see that it's right there. You can also get the Wall Street Journal and not have to pay for it. All this is free. And when you click on Value Line, it will want you to click in with your library card and so forth. And you'll go to exactly the same Value Line that we get at Colorado State University. So you don't have to pay a lot of money to actually have it. All you do up here is put in Walmart, and it will pull up the information on Walmart. Here is the useful part. It's going to take a second to upload. About Value Line is if you come over to this PDF reports, and you click on it and get the most recent one for January of 2024. This one page, I'm going to blow it up a little bit, is, let's see, it won't let me. Okay, there it is tremendously helpful. It gives historical pricing. It gives what they think is going to be higher or low. It gives down here growth rates if you want to figure out what you think sales will do in the next couple of years, or book value will grow and that kind of stuff. It gives a really good synopsis quickly about the company down here, where their stores are, how many stores they have, and that type of stuff. And then finally, you can look at long-term numbers. Like, for instance, when we're looking at the book value per share, we can see how that's grown here over the last 15 years and what they think it's going to do going forward. You can look at the price to earnings, the multiple of earnings the market is willing to pay, and see how that has grown for Walmart over the number of years and where they think it's going to be a couple of years down the road. So there is just an incredible amount of really helpful information on here. It's really helpful when you analyze companies in the future for yourself, for investments or whatever. And the beautiful thing about it is it's free. So after you find out some background on the company, it helps to know what their main products and sectors that they are involved in. Firms make a living off of what they sell. And Walmart, for instance, like I said, doesn't just have the Walmarts, although certainly that's where it started in Northwest Arkansas all those years ago. But they also have Sam's Clubs, which are, by the way, similar to Costco, but not nearly as successful. Been around longer, but aren't nearly as successful as Costco's. And then you also have the international operations. And they have a ton of stores in different countries, particularly Mexico. The other thing you can see, so each of those is sort of segments that they compete in, and the fact that you throw in international, you're looking at the geography of it all. So if the U.S. doesn't do quite as well, maybe Mexico will, and that will help Walmart from that end as well. So different products that they might have are in different parts of the life cycle. That's more related to your firm. If you want to say that different products are, for instance, they have e-commerce now at Walmart, that's almost a subset of a couple of them out there, and that is in a different part of the life cycle in the sense it is growing much more rapidly for Walmart out there. But the differentiation of the products and the life cycles determines a lot of where you think they will be 12 months down the road. Firms must separate out parts of their business in the annual statements. If we go to Wally World out here and go back to Walmart Investor Relations here, there's just a ton of different things you can get. But if we want to do the financials, we can actually they have a presentation, which is fantastic. It will tell you a lot of different things about growth rates and what's going on. Their total revenues are up 4.3% in the last year. You can figure out the year-over-year change and how that's grown through time. Profitability, different breakdown of where the money is coming from, the fact that they have actually more money, the average ticket, what people are spending per purchase, trip, if you will, at Walmart is higher now than it was before. That's useful information to them. Anyway, Walmart, same store comp sales and so forth. Anyway, there's a lot of information you can get, about Walmart out there, and you can get it from their segments and geographics by looking at the company websites. Okay, key metrics, sales/revenue, the top line, as they say, on the income statement on the accounting side. If they aren't bringing in more sales or revenue, it's going to be real hard for them to be profitable going forward. And one of the things you need to do is predict where that's going to be a year from now. You can use Value Line to help you with that because they have predictions out a couple of years in the future and so forth. But you have to figure out what they're going to do, because if you're going to have a multiple of earnings times a future earnings per share, you have to figure out how much this year's earnings are growing, for instance. Book value, the same thing. Ultimately, how much they get to keep is called net income. This is called top line growth because it's the first line on an income statement. This is called bottom line growth because it's the bottom line. But, how much money are they going to make? That's an important one out there too. You need to see how this changed through time. The percent change equation is actually new minus old divided by old. So 2023 numbers minus 2022 numbers divided by 2022 numbers will tell you how much they've been growing and make predictions. So company website and Morningstar will give you a lot more key metrics. Let me run over to Morningstar just to show you that one more time. So when we're inside of Morningstar, there are so many things you can do up here when you're at the top. When you look at financials, it will tell you what the financials look like for the last 3 years, for the income statement, for the balance sheet, and so forth. You can expand the view to get a little more detail about how that's going on. If you want to know about valuation, this is where they are in their price earnings, price to book, price to sales, and so forth, and how they've done historically over the last 10 years there as well. So there's just a lot of help. You can look at operating performance, which will tell you how much they have, what the return on assets is, the returns are, whether it's locking up money and receivables and so forth out there. So anyway, a ton of information from the company website and Morningstar. All right, one of the ways you can look at a company to try to figure out how they are doing and where they're going to find pressure or opportunity out there is something called Porter's Five Forces. And I thank Hilla Skiba for this. She had this handout. It's very useful. This is actually written by Porter, the guy that put it all together. But please go through this and realize we want you to have their five forces in there and think about where are they going to win relative to the competition and where are they going to lose relative to the competition. I think this is a big step for you, so I would spend some time on this to compare your company in a number of different areas. So how will they be affected by changes in technology? Some will be headwinds. For Walmart, competition, Costco and Amazon. Amazon's got them beat online, obviously. Costco's got them beat in their discount stores out there. And how's that going to impact how much Walmart sells in those areas, or is Walmart going to eat into their possible future sales? The slowing economy is going to hurt everybody. If the economy slows down, it's going to be a little more difficult, a little less so perhaps for Walmart, because more people who might not shop there might shop there to save that last buck or whatever, but it could be a headwind for everybody, including Walmart. And of course, changing consumer demand. Don't know what the consumer is going to do about that out there. Are they going to want to shop at Walmart? Less so, more so. What about for the different things they carry, whether it's soft lines like clothes or automotive or whatever? Just it could be a headwind for them going forward. On the other hand, the consolidation in the industry could be a very good thing for them. Everybody gets bigger, and then they've got to compete with Walmart and understand that scale is not as helpful as it always seems. Tailwinds also, I know this sounds terrible, but we're just being honest here. There's going to be poor people going forward, probably the way inflation in the economy has gone, which would tend to be helpful to Walmart. And automation is one you might not think about, but when you look at AI, they spent billions of dollars on a new way to shrink wrap the stuff by pallets and have machines help pick it and that kind of stuff. The idea being when they take the pallet off at the store when it arrives in the truck, they can put it where they want it to go, and the machines will actually know where it goes, and it's closest to where it goes, which is a big advantage for Walmart, for instance, going forward. How the economic environment will impact the industry and the company out there, both for me, the store industry, and then Walmart itself. Competitors, like I said, Morningstar and Yahoo has some of that there. Did we go over to Yahoo? I think we did. I just want to double check that for you. No, that's not it. My bad. Yeah, Walmart yeah, we did. Okay, so we went there when you can look at the competitors they have down here. They'll have them for your company as well. Where their company wins or loses, that's Porter's Five Forces, but think of it in a really big picture. Walmart has the advantage of having the different stores out there, while brick and mortar, as they call it, can be a drag because you have to pay for them. To the extent they can use them as many distribution centers in the future is actually going to be a big help. And for Walmart, if you want to talk about their moat, everybody wants to talk about where their firm has an advantage. I probably wouldn't buy a company unless I thought it had an advantage somewhere. It is in their size and their innovation. Plus, ultimately, they sell stuff cheaper, and nobody's going to be able to beat them on the low end down there. The multiples I would use for valuation are price to earnings, price to book, and price to sales. The idea being is you take a multiple you think it's going to sell for in the future and multiply it by the earnings, the book value, or the sales you think are going to happen in the future out there as well. And that's how you come with a future valuation. How do you do that? You compare it to the competitors and see whether it's winning or losing in certain areas, and therefore whether it deserves a higher or a lower multiple. One thing to keep in mind, be careful in straying too far from where they are now. Firms, especially the size of Walmart, don't tend to change that quickly. Anyway, competitors and why they might be selling higher or lower, you're going to make your best guesstimate, and then the bottom line is put it to evaluation and defend it. That's what they're going to be looking for from a judge standpoint. All right, possible formats on the next slide. I would hope you would make it prettier. But this is actually one possible one that you'll cover all your bases. So the idea being a company overview, then where it is in the industry and its competitive positioning, industry overview and so forth, then some type of financial analysis, how they're doing, where they're growing and where they're not, and then some type of valuation, which is that price to earnings, price to book, price to sales thing relative to others, and then finally, where are their headwinds and their tailwinds, and conclude. That's what I would think as a reference. You might want to put this together. Finally, in the end, try not to use more than 15 slides or so. You only have about 10 minutes or so, I think, if I remember correctly. You may have a little bit longer in this part, but the bottom line is slides, you don't want to read them off. You want to have main points, and then you fill in the blanks. The only addition you might add to the 15 is you might want to give a quick slide at the beginning about your team and who they are, and then a conclusion about why you think your company is a buy, sell, or a hold. If you want to know, here's the websites that we visited today, and you're like, hey, we went to FinViz and Yahoo Finance, Morningstar, Value Line, the company website. What about Trading Day? I didn't put that up there because there's a lot of information in Trading Day. But for some of you, you will actually find this easier than the others. If you put in Walmart, for instance, in here, and I get the links, prepare to have your mind blown. You will have many of them we talked about. There's Morningstar. There's Google Finance. There's Yahoo Finance. There's Reuters if you want to get basic information. You can get charts here if you want to put those into your presentation. You can get financials from Morningstar, SEC filings, and so forth. What analysts think about it, inside holders. I mean, everything you could ever kind of want is pretty much on Trading Day. And that's another great place if you're looking or struggling to find information. Put in your company's ticker, get the links, and give it a shot. The more you click through, the more you'll find it's interesting and helpful. So that being said, I appreciate you guys making the effort. We look forward to having you at a 4-year school if you come that route, and teaching you what the next level of this looks like. But thanks for taking the effort. You're going to be much better competitive position for yourself job-wise in the future just by doing something like this, all right? Have a great day. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.